Before we start this episode of Krypton Report, I want to take a moment and just give a shout out here to our Patreon. I know what you're thinking. Gosh, everyone's asking for money, and I get it. But our Patreon is only $1. $1 a month. It helps us keep the podcast going. And what we do is we try to find interesting shows and topics and whatever we want to talk about. We've done, as of this little thing, our last recordings were on the Scream series. Brian and Tyler, that's me, do our own show where we record in the car, and it's kind of funny. And we talk about pop culture or whatever is going on. We also have the Supernatural podcast we've been reworking. It's taken on some time just because of life. But we do movie commentaries as well. It's something that James and I have done, what we used to do on the main show that we've started doing here. So for $1 a month on our Patreon, you can get those shows. There's at least 4 a month. Also, there's my movie pitch show that I do. But also, what we want is if you're a Patreon, you can come on. You can come on the main show if you want. Or if there's something you want to come on and talk about, we can do it as a Patreon special. So all I want is for $1 a month, think about chipping in, joining our Patreon, and you have a voice to be part of things. Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/KryptonReport.
Part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Worldwide. You're listening to the Krypton Report.
June is fast approaching, and that is not only Superman Day, but it's also the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel. Check out our website on Facebook for the information to join, as we will be updating our live Man of Steel rewatch. We'll be streaming, and we will be making an online party to rewatch Man of Steel. So please add that to your calendar. And remember,
Look up in the sky.
I want to take a moment to share that we will be doing our live video about the 10-year anniversary of Injustice, Gods Among Us, the video game. It's 2023, and this was a huge year in my fandom. And I want to kind of just take a moment, and in my life, period, that this year is going to be a lot of reflection for me. And I want to sit back, and especially with spring, because what started out here in 2020 or 2013, and so in the spring at this time in April, Injustice Gods Among Us comes out, and my wife and I love fighting games, always have. Mortal Kombat is my favorite video game, so having this game after my wife and I had recently bought PlayStation 3, it was the first new video game I had bought in a long time, and of course I went all out and bought the season pass, and we played it a lot. So that music just became kind of the background of a lot of things going on for us. We would play it throughout the rest of the year, and it just was part of our culture for the year. Shortly later, I was injured at work, and I had to take some time off. And right at that time, as I was like in bed with bruised ribs, is when Netflix dropped Batman, The Brave and the Bold, Justice League, and Batman Beyond. So I just started rewatching all of those, and it was just a jump back. And it was also this year, because of my injury and the advice of my good friend Devin Scarf, that I started listening to Fat Man on Batman, which I missed that podcast. And I know Kevin Smith still has Fat Man Beyond, but it's not the same as it was. And that's what got me into really listening to podcasts. So 2013 became the year of podcasts for me. And I really just dug into listening to a lot of podcasts. There was one called DC Radio, it stood for Distressed Citizens Radio, where these two guys basically would read DC comics, whatever came out that week, and summarize them. And that really helped me keep up with a lot of books. 2012, 2013 also linked me really getting back into reading comics, a little bit more on the 2012 side, but that definitely did roll into 2013. 2013 is also when I auditioned to be on Comic Book Men, and my wife and I went. I was accepted. We went and we filmed a segment for Comic Book Men, it just never aired. I was there, and I bought a really cool Superman 1970s display that had like a vintage kryptonite glow-in-the-dark thing. It was cool. I got pictures of me with Ming and Mike Zapsik and everything. It was a good experience. My wife and I had a great time. 2013 is when I also applied for film school with a short film that I had made called For Justice. It was a fun, my own little superhero film. I was just experimenting what I could do in camera, not using much post and like visual effects, just kind of in camera with little tweaks here and there. It was just kind of something fun for me to do, and I did it all by myself, basically. So, all that to say, like, we moved to North Carolina, and all that was a big year in my fandom. Other podcasts I got into was Now Playing, movie review podcast, Flash TV Talk, which is now TV Talk. And it's just interesting that 10 years has gone by. And of course, one of the biggest ones is it's now the 10-year anniversary of Man of Steel, which was just such a huge deal. Anytime there's been a Superman movie released, it's been a big deal in my life. Significantly, your Superman Returns was a huge moment in my life. Man of Steel was as well. And, those were years apart and a big deal. So I wanted to say all this because we are going to do a special live viewing of Man of Steel for the 10-year anniversary. We will also be doing a special for Superman Day. But I just wanted to take a moment to sit back and just look at what this year is just for me and my fandom, and to me and my wife, and just how 10 years has gone by so fast. And this year is just kind of a look back at things that are still part of our everyday cultural life. I hope everyone's doing well. This is my little rant. Take care and look up in the sky.
To the 5, 4, 3, 2, right?
What up, everybody? Hey, what's up, James?
What's up?
This is our special impromptu live. That's right, because the really awesome live that we had planned that we're still keeping on the hush-hush, we had to postpone. But we are here live, and this is a special because this, everybody, is 10 years to the day. We knew it was coming up, and we actually had planned to do this yesterday, but then just things happened. I was like, tomorrow would be good, but tomorrow just happened to be even better because it is 10 years to the day of the video game Injustice, Gods Among Us. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. That's crazy. I've been playing it since it came out, and I can't believe it's been like 10 years. Me and Jimmy were playing it back when he was little, and he's going to be 15.
It's crazy. So just, this year's 2013, and this is like a lot of fandom anniversaries. Like it's a 10-year mark for a big 10-year mark for my fandom and stuff. And this game, it wasn't just a game. It was like a moment in 13 for me and for Jania. It was a big year. And I'm not much of a gamer. I've said that before, but Jania is. And when this game was announced, I pre-bought it. And I hardly ever pre-buy games, especially because it was just me and her. We hadn't had kids yet. And I pre-bought it, and I bought it with the pass, all the extras, the downloadable characters. And I remember I got off work, and, I went out as soon as I got off work, because I was working third shift. So I went to bed and woke up in time to get to GameStop right as they opened to pick up my game, went home and played it. And I'd always been a fighting game fan. Like, Mortal Kombat's my favorite video game franchise. Like, it's just the simplest one. So we're pairing my favorite comic, characters. I had previously played the DC versus Mortal Kombat game for PlayStation 3 and Xbox. I had it on Xbox and I was dorming with my brother. And then Jeannie and I just bought a PS3 and we're getting into it. And I played it before Jeannie got home, and she came home and we kept playing it. And I loved it, man. Like, that whole year, like, Jeannie and I have a whole history of just playing it that entire year. Like, we got a special video we made coming up in the podcast. But what's kind of like your history with the game? Oh, also here, crack a cold one, Zoa, right here. Not sponsored of the podcast, but if they'd like to, right here, orange, all-time favorite.
Yeah, I had some Zoa earlier, but I've got my Granny's peach tea here.
No,
it's some lemonade.
Is that lemonade
soft? The jar is perfect, though. So, no, history with the game, like, I played DC versus Mortal Kombat when that came out. I had that, and I played the crap out of that game.
Did you beat it? So you could be Shao Kahn and Darkseid?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. James like, of course, dude. You know me.
Yep. And then, so I knew Injustice was coming out. It's just, and it was going to be a full DC fighting game, like all DC characters and stuff. So even then it was, it had an interesting premise. And then, of course, it comes out and, like, we're playing it. And then the way the story evolves from it, like, that, I mean, that's what we're here to talk about, is the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. I'm going to try something here, like, if it's going to let me do this. Hold on a second here. I'm going to see. I'm still learning, StreamYard stuff. So everyone hold on, see if it'll let me do something real quick here. Let's see. Nope, not going to let me, I don't think. But I was trying to. I have one Superman Injustice figure that my friend got me. That's pretty awesome. I was trying to see if it would let me pull it up here, but let's see. Nope. I won't let me share that. Weird. But yeah, I got two Injustice figures. One is Injustice from Superman from number 2, and then Injustice Superman from number 1. I never made an Injustice Superman of the good Superman. It's just the bad Superman figure. But
right,
I have that, and when I first got it, I got it on PlayStation 3. That's what Jeannie and I had, and I just remember that summer. It was so exciting. Like, we would play, but then they added the Man of Steel skin.
360.
They added a Man of Steel skin, and then they added the Zod Man of Steel skin, and then they added the Arrow skin. And the one skin that I really liked, and this is what makes me mad, because even to this day, when I load, it asks to log into my WBID account, and I try, and it just says failed, there was a Flash New 52 skin. And I had it on my PlayStation 3. And then eventually we sold the PlayStation 3, and I bought it again for $20, brand new, a little sheen, hard to see. But I bought the PlayStation 4, remastered edition of the first one.
Like the gold edition with the extra characters and everything.
Yeah, so it basically everything I'd already bought, but it had a few more skins. But it did not have that New 52 Flash skin. It's always upset me.
Mm. Yeah, that one had some pretty cool skins and stuff.
And I don't want to compare, like, you know, and go into, like, you know, number 2, but number 2 just, I did not like the way they did alternate skins or anything in that. Like, the first one was definitely the best.
The first one was a complete skin. The second one was a customizable system to have your DC fighter more unique.
I'm okay with that, but I'd like both, you know, like.
Yeah.
But Injustice, you know, it was a video game that took on a life of its own. And
well, it spawned an entire universe in the multiverse.
Yes, it did. And
it's all over the comics. I mean, it's important in John Kent's current run.
Exactly. You know, we do have to say Tom Taylor, he did write the run. And, you know, my history with the comic book was I bought the first year in print because as I was trying to pull things up, and I remember when this came out year 1, I bought the whole run. And I think it's a second printing, I think is what I have. I'm not sure because they did. Do you remember when they used to release digital chapters? You'd pay like 99 cents and you get like a digital chapter.
I read a bunch of them that way.
Yeah. And then after like 4 chapters, they would then print them as an actual book.
Yeah. As an issue that could be sold.
And that's what I did is I waited till they printed the issue and I bought, because I remember we had moved to North Carolina and I found there was like 3 comic shops that we visited. One was where I worked, which was about an hour from the house. One was about 25 minutes and one was about 15. And I was at the one that was 25 minutes. I really liked that shop. You could go in and take your books and sell them to it for in-store credit. And they would sell used comic books like singles. So I bought a bunch of those because they were like cheaper. And you could even, you know, whatever people were trading in. They had open figures they would sell. People would sell figures there. But that's where I started buying the Injustice book. And I just remember I loved it because the game had its own storyline, but it referenced year 1. You know, it was referencing, you know, these events a lot of times in the game. And I just remember finishing that first issue and just being like, oh my God, like what has happened? And that right. was my first exposure to Tom Taylor as a writer. So immediately I read that. And after that, every time I saw his name, I was like, I'd check out this book. So Tom, you made a fan right there.
Yeah. I mean, he's done 3 Elseworlds series that have been extremely good sellers and have really, you know, created a world that is important to the multiverse. You know, I mean, we've got Injustice, is Dark Knights of Steel, and Deceased. Like, I don't know of too many other writers who create multiple multiverse Elseworlds stories over and over again. I mean, and he did Earth 2 as well. So
he did. He's very talented writer. Now we're gonna break down the comic here in a second, but let's take a quick look at the game. In our roster for the game is are you ready for this? We have Stephen Amell voicing Arrow, Troy Baker as Sinestro, Kimberly Brooks as Batgirl, Adam Baldwin as Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Kevin Conroy as Batman, rest in peace, buddy. Amy J. Carl was an announcer, Gray Griffin, which is Gray Delisle as Catwoman, Richard Epcar as the Joker, Susan Eisenberg as Wonder Woman,
Jennifer Hale as Hawkgirl, Phil Lamar as Aquaman, Neil McDough as the Flash, which that one still surprises me to this day. J.G. Hertzler as Deathstroke, Joey Neighbor as Shazam, Carrie Payton as Cyborg, of course, because who else is going to voice Cyborg, right? Nolan North as General Zod, which that one surprises me because even like the Michael Shannon General Zod is him. George Newbern, Superman. And then, hold on, pulling everybody up here. Got so many. Where were we? Reshuffled my order here. Lex Luthor is Mark Rolstein. Patrick Seitz is Scorpion. I'm not going to try it. As Lobo. Mm-hmm. Alan Tudyk is the regular Green Lantern. And then Fred Takosker is Solomon Grundy and Bane. Tara Strong, the amazing Tara Strong.
That's Tacticor. He's his voice for the Hulk. Lots of loud, lots of deep voices. Voice actor, growling, that type of stuff.
And then Tara Strong is Harley Quinn and Raven. Lacey Chabert would voice Zatanna. Carl Lumley is Martian Manhunter. So, an impressive roster of characters with an impressive voice cast of, let's see, actors. Did I miss anybody? I'm making sure I didn't miss okay. Neil McDough not only did The Flash, he also did Nightwing, Damian Wayne. Phil Lamar also did Green Lantern, John Stewart. We also have Ares. Jennifer Hale did Killer Frost. Just making sure. Yeah, I'm trying to get everybody. So it's an impressive roster of characters. Now, the original roster did not include Batgirl, Zatanna, Zod, Lobo, Martian Manhunter, and Scorpion. Those were the 6 that were added later.
Mm-hmm.
I felt kind of cheated with Scorpion. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, they didn't need to have Scorpion in there.
I kind of wish he was just like a special character you unlocked after you beat the game, but he wasn't one of the season pass characters. Because there's so many more interesting DC characters that could have been like.
Yeah, well, with the Injustice 2, the roster expanded to include
Sub-Zero,
Swamp Thing. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go there, Sub-Zero. They had the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, so I mean,
you got Red Hood, you had Cheetah, you had Poison Ivy.
We'll talk about them when it's 10 years for Injustice 2, man. We're just on.
Okay.
But
just the first 5 years.
We also
just
had
the first 5 years.
I don't see it on here for the voice, but we had Black Adam. Oh, there he is. Shazam and Black Adam was the same voice actor. So he was another character that we had. And I like that version of Black Adam. But it was a great. Like fighting games are great in the simplest because people would come over and we would just like, hey, let's play this and hand them a controller. And you can have fun playing a fighting game with just button smashing.
Yeah, it's just, and it's easy to have multiple people, you fight and you hand off the controller. You fight and you hand off the controller. Winner holds on to it or whatever, and if they make it all the way around, then they can give it up.
Yeah. Now, James, let's be honest here. When you first beat the game, what setting did you have it on?
I mean, at the time, probably normal. That's usually how I play most games. I would never play games on anything less than normal for the longest time. But these days, since I don't have much time and I'm just there to enjoy myself, these days I play most of my games on easy.
Guilty. Because like you said, this one, the first time I played it on easy, and then I went back and beat it on normal. But most of the time, I played on easy just because. Yeah,
that was 10 years ago, that would have been normal. 10 years ago, I would have played it on normal.
I think I recently beat the game on very easy because I played it with Solomon, where we took turns, playing, he'd fight and then hand me the controller and we'd go back and forth like that. and just kind of play through like some of the ladders and stuff. So it's just fun. Like it's the the story. But for anyone who doesn't know, I think we kind of skipped over like the idea of the story, but the basic story of the game is the Joker creates like a bomb that sends off a wormhole that brings, for lack of a better term, Earth 1. We'll just say Earth 1. Justice League heroes from Earth 1 to the Injustice Earth. And the game is these heroes kind of navigating what's happened to this planet, this Earth, and trying to help out with what's going on. But so that's the game storyline. But the comic storyline is telling you what happened on the Injustice Earth. And James, do you want to kind of sum up some of the there's 5 years of Injustice comics, and James read them all. And I
have.
He has them all. And
I do. I bought all the trades. So the story of Injustice is it begins with Superman waking up to hearing 2 heartbeats. He discovers Lois is pregnant. She goes off to do a story and she never comes back. Joker kills Jimmy and kidnapped Lois.
I totally forgot about Joker killing Jimmy. This is all the first issue. Anyone that has DC Ultra, just read the first issue. That is enough to hook you to like invest in this, at least the first year.
Yeah, definitely. The first year is fantastic. There are subsequent years, and after halfway through year 3, Tom Taylor is no longer writing.
That's when took me a while to finish. Just saying.
It does change. Quality does change. So Joker kidnaps Lois. They kind of find out Superman is, deeply concerned. He just found out she was pregnant. And they call in the Justice League, and they find out, Joker's in Metropolis. He's got a nuke. He killed Jimmy. He kidnapped Lois. They find him in a submarine that Superman pulls out of the ocean, or wherever. And as he enters inside, what's that?
He pulls him out of your bathroom.
Yeah.
Aha!
After he enters inside, he is exposed to kryptonite-laced fear toxin, which makes him basically, one of the biggest fears he has is Doomsday, legitimately, being the creature that killed him. And just the amount of destruction that creature can wrought. So he automatically goes into, hero mode. Snatches up Doomsday, or what he thinks is Doomsday, and flies the creature into space while attacking. And they discover what Batman and the other members of the Justice League discover what happened. And by the time Superman snaps out of it, he has taken Lois, nearly beat her, and took her to outer space where her and the baby die. So he was manipulated by the Joker into killing Lois and his unborn child.
Which we perceived it would have been John Kent. And that's kind of what Tom Taylor is leading into right now.
Yeah.
I just remember reading that final page and just being, oh my gosh. And being like, wow, like blown away. And I think when I bought the issue, I think there was a couple of them out. I think I maybe had issues 1, 2, and 3 maybe at the time. Because this would have been in July when I actually got around to buying the comics, because I was waiting for them to, come together. But man, like,
yeah, it's really intense. As Superman fans, we know that a lot of Superman fans dislike this story, or dislike anything having to do with an evil Superman. Me, I'm like, obviously my favorite Superman is our heroic Superman, the one who always saves the day. But I think an interesting, if he's written well and done in an interesting way, like this, I mean, Superman he's the greatest force of good, but he can be like such a scary villain,
Yeah.
that much power and thinking he's doing good.
I look at this story not so much of evil Superman as a Superman that's broken with reality, and his, there's a lot of philosophical, like it's really is a strong philosophical debate on how to handle the criminals, because the breaking point is the argument of Batman captures the Joker goes back to jail, and then the Joker gets out
to kill more people.
Yeah. And it's always kind of been, Superman's kind of like, you're just as responsible for every death he's ever done because you have never stopped him.
Yeah.
And it's kind
everybody
of like,
he's killed, blood is on your hands.
And it's kind of, Batman's if I kill one, it becomes easy. And it gets into that really strong debate. And this is where Superman has been broken because he was manipulated to kill his own wife. And I kind of
it's not just Lois dying or Lois being killed. He was twisted into killing her himself. Like, it broke something inside of him.
And I look at it
it's not just her death; it's the fact that he caused it, and then also with her death, Metropolis was nuked.
Yeah.
So everybody else he knew is gone as well.
It's like an extension of Red Sun. Like, that idea where he's not exactly evil Superman, he's communist Russian Superman. It's kind of that same dictator Superman of in Red Sun, he thinks he's doing what is right. And in this, it's very similar. Like, he thinks he's doing what's right, what's needed to be done. And you see as the story goes on how other characters influence him and push him in certain ways. And it takes him down a darker path. And it's an interesting story of just where the characters can go and what can push, him. And it's showing that Superman being corrupt is a scary thing. Being pushed.
He can be a scary, a terrifying presence, I mean, even to think he's still doing the right thing, he's not allowing that to happen. Eventually this Superman does cross the line. It is further in the Injustice run before the game, because the game is actually the end of this story. The story begins with him discovering that she is pregnant and then losing her the way he does. The game is actually the end. So, but yeah, there's a point in there where he does start crossing the line and becoming the villain. So the interesting thing about the story, though, is for the first few years, it's him believing that he is doing the right thing before he crosses that line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what makes his fall so interesting in this story.
I mean, the best way
the artwork done so well. I mean, just over here, him fighting Doomsday, and then here where he's kind of snapping out of it, you see kind of like the hand.
Show him the money shot. Show him the money shot
before he realizes
I mean, that's just
that it's Lois.
That's just, I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So, and then the look on his face.
So like if you want to experience the full story of Injustice, you would read Injustice 1 through 5. You'd read the 5 years, then play the game. And that's how it would work. So it's
and then the Injustice 2 storyline would pick up and go towards that game, and then they actually have Injustice versus Masters of the Universe, which is a 6-issue series based on the alternate ending of Injustice 2.
Yeah. I've played it both ways.
Yeah.
It's we'll get to that in 3 more years. And then there was a couple. What was the other? There was another comic series that they did, Injustice Ground Zero. I remember reading it, but I don't remember what it was about. But
it was mostly about following Harley.
Of course it is.
And some things. It was just kind of as it says, Ground Zero. It's like she was mixed up in it from day one. You know, obviously being with the Joker, and then after Superman kills the Joker, she tries to make up for what she had done. You know, this is kind of like the introduction of like that hero Harley that we're getting now.
You know, and I stated this earlier, like this year on the podcast, we're going to hit some things coming up is like a lot of big events kind of in, like I said, my fandom, but just, I think in DC is, 10 years today, or not today, but this year. I do want to give a shout out to Christopher Drake, the composer who wrote the score. I think the Injustice theme is iconic. I mean, it's another one of those, I hear that theme, and like sometimes I feel like video game music can get lost in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That theme stays with me. It has all the makings of a superhero theme, and I hear that music and it takes me back. And it's just a warm feeling, kind of being the excitement of playing this game. And I hadn't been this excited for a video game since maybe the days of GoldenEye. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we get the iconic shot that you see in the game as well of Superman
finally killing the Joker.
So it's very interesting because right after that begins Harley trying to escape and coming into contact with Green Arrow, who takes her in. And what's really cool about this is because he killed the Joker, like he's not taking any chances. He takes Harley in to his own lair to keep her safe from Superman.
She's the one that says, "Why the Arrow lair?" He's like, "Why don't you just call it the Quiver?" That was one of the best lines in the entire.
It's a great running joke. They keep calling it the Quiver, and they're like, "That's actually better."
Yeah,
yeah. It's one of the best running jokes. And then there is a page. I really wish I knew exactly where it was because I think it's at the end of year one. Because so it might be actually early year 2 where Dinah is pregnant. Black Canary is pregnant. And this is after Ollie is killed. So Superman crosses the line. Yeah, Superman crosses the line, of course, and everybody becomes scared of him. So the president, they actually go to kind of like kidnap the Kents, hold them as leverage against Superman, which Batman tells them is the worst thing they could possibly do.
Yep.
He hides them at the fortress, And when the heroes go to the fortress to get, I believe it's the pills at the time, a sample of the pills that Lex Luthor is creating, so that way they can be powered against Superman and his forces. They get into the fortress, and his parents are there. The Kents are there, and they automatically know that this is not going to end well. And Superman ends up actually beating Ollie, killing Ollie. But he does. Ollie manages to shoot the pill on an arrow and get it out of the fortress to everybody. But Dinah is pregnant, and she is going to have a fight with Harley, but she is having morning sickness. And her and Harley have a great interaction. It's hilarious. Her talking about Black Canary and her leathern fishnets with a pregnant belly and stuff. And she says she will never fight her. That her and the Joker had a child together. That she left for a year while she was pregnant. Left their daughter behind, and he didn't even realize she was gone. Like, she returned, and it was like nothing had happened, and she had disappeared for a year. So it's a very interesting character work for Harley Quinn as well throughout this story. Actually, I mean, you can really say that about anybody in these stories by Tom Taylor. It's so many great character moments.
Tom Taylor does not get enough credit as a writer. I'm glad that his work now is like in the modern books and not just the side stories. I do want to take a step here and look at designs, character designs, because the game comes out and they have to reintroduce these characters. And I do want to take a quick look here and see, James, what are the your top three favorite character looks of the game, and your top three ones that you hate?
Well, let's see. In the first one,
I sent you a link that really helps pull up the information.
Did you?
In our private chat right here, there's a great link that'll help you.
Oh, hold on here then.
It has a nice.
There we go. Not gone, am I?
Nope. You're still
all right.
with it.
Perfect.
Wait, you're frozen. I hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully I don't lose you or anything.
Just keep talking, Wayne.
I am here. I mean, so, like, one of my least favorites would be Bane's look.
Okay, I'm behind you with that one.
The main reason, like I've said before, is most of the time Bane is created and he's made to look like just this monstrous beast. This is a fighting game, so they're going to go for a tank look, a tank control type character. But it's just not, it's not one of my favorite looks.
All right. What else?
I like the Shazam look.
Okay, just do your three bottom first. Don't
my three bottom?
Yeah, you started with the bottom. Don't be mixing and matching your list. Which three do you think are the worst? Okay.
The three that are the worst is definitely Bane.
Yep.
I do think that the characters are over armored, so like Batman and Flash's look like so armored that they don't really look all that great, because like Nightwing doesn't look nearly as armored.
I like the Flash from like the symbol down. Like, but it's from here up, like with the shoulders and like the mask. I'm not a huge fan of. It's
right.
More of that armor, but I get with you.
But I would probably go with Harley Quinn as one of my least favorite looks. Like she's just got this tiny little outfit that.
Yeah, I hate the Injustice Harley.
Typical fighting game woman outfit, skimpy, nothing on, and it's like, how is that supposed to be anyway in an armored fight or anything?
Okay, what are your top 3 favorites?
Shazam, Nightwing, and then Aquaman.
Okay, my 3 favorites, and then I'll give you my 3 bottom. My 3 favorites are Shazam, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. I think they look the best. I would take those designs. Ones I really don't like. I kind of lump Batgirl and Batman together because they both have that. They have the same thing with that over padded armored look. I don't like. I don't like Harley Quinn at all. I really, really hate it. And I don't like Green Arrow's look. It's very weird samurai looking kind of style. I don't like the way he looks. And you said Bane, so I'm not going to acknowledge it. But yeah, Bane is too big. He is too hulking. Everyone else looks really good in some sort of middle ground. Like Black Adam looks like Black Adam. Catwoman,
you know what, though? I mean, you say Green Arrow doesn't look great. He's an awesome character to play with.
Oh, yeah. Every time I use him, I put him in the Arrow skin or the Regime skin.
Yeah. The Arrow skin looks really cool in it.
You know, everyone else, Luthor's really bulky in his exo suit. I love this look of Martian Manhunter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Superman looks fine. You know,
I mean, Zod kind of looks stupid, but it's not like bad. Like he just looks like a generic villain. Like,
because like we've talked about before, they've never really dialed in what Zod looks like. Every time we see him in media or in comics, they always slightly twist him to give him a different look. They've never been like, this is the definitive.
You know what?
Zod.
Well, no. I mean, Callum Blue, they brought him back again. Damn it. Anyways, Michael Shannon is going to be back. Yep. Michael Shannon is going to be back. He's going to be the only person to ever reprise the character role. You know, it should be. Terrence Stamp was supposed to be like one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, Terrence Stamp was in 2 movies. Technically, Shannon will be in 2 movies. But I mean, he makes a cameo as a corpse in BVS. So, but you're right. I mean, like every time, we get Zod in the comics or whatever, they slightly change him and alter him. I mean, look how they did.
He doesn't even have a definitive symbol.
Exactly.
But
it's it's just one of those things. I love this game. It is one of my favorite games to play. I'm so glad that they remastered it for PlayStation 4 so I can continue to enjoy it and not having, to need it. I think, the one thing I think about a lot of video games is I don't know enough of the technical back end, but I feel like there should always be a way that you could get a digital version to play like on a new console, and I say that because, there's old Nintendo 64 games that you can play online through Switch, Switch Online and stuff like that. And this is a game I don't ever want to lose. And I also would like to have Batman Arkham Origins back in some capacity. Okay. We might be losing Superman Red James here. I know that he might have some obligations with work. Let's give him a moment to see if he's had to bounce. And if so, I have a video prepared. Anyone else out there? I know we kind of did an impromptu live. We trying to figure this out. Anyone out there? Comments? No. So let's see here. Hold on. Did James go to fight crime again? So often James fights crime. You would think he was a superhero. Let's try something, fellas.
We're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
Hi, I'm Jania.
And we're married.
Yep.
And in 2013, we would try to work on our relationship. We'd have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we would find that there was different techniques that we could do for those problems. Like, at times I would think she was being mean.
You thought I was being mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's at times I'm pretty sure she wanted to hit me. So what we decided was there was only one way to get through this. Injustice.
Yeah, this abusive wife had to make sure that, she took all of her aggravation and poured it towards something else instead of putting it on her loving, sweet, never does anything wrong husband.
So what we would choose to do was, instead of fighting and arguing, we would just grab our controller, jump on the PS3, and play Injustice.
Finish him! Wait, what's the other one?
Now, if we couldn't figure out where to go for dinner, or if she wanted one thing, I wanted another, we would just...
Yeah, not rock, paper, scissors like normal couples. Injustice was the way to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It answered so many problems for us.
We would just play.
Yeah. Get all of our aggression out there. Maybe as we were playing, we would be, throwing all the stuff on the table. You didn't take the trash out this week. I'm going to beat your butt. That kind of thing.
The problem that this happened was she is a much better gamer than I am. She won a lot.
I did. That's because I'm right a lot.
I mean, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a fun game. And that was great. I loved it.
That was our special, just in case we lost James' connection video. But hey, 10 years of Injustice. It's been great. It's a game, like I said, it's fun. The family, we all play and enjoy it together.
You can throw it in any time. You can throw in 1, you can throw in 2, and just play,
The comics are rich in story, and maybe maybe we'll break down and do each year as like a special or something. Maybe we'll do that over this year.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think it's awesome. It reaches out everywhere. I mean, Lobo shows up. They go to Atlantis. The Core shows up. Sinestro. They touch on the magical world. The Greek gods show up.
James is there in a cameo. If you look in the background on the Mount Olympus, he's there. He's one of the statues.
Great story. Lots of great character development. I love how they're able to utilize the entire DC world. It's not just it affects everybody. It affects the entire world.
The only thing I'm going to say, I'm going to end on this. Injustice the game, A+. The comics, A+. Pretend the movie doesn't exist. Don't ever watch the movie.
Yeah, the movie it's
a D-, F-.
It is. It's not great. I mean, they pull a lot of elements. They really do.
Just don't waste your time.
You don't feel the impact. You don't feel the fall of Superman.
If you want to know more about, just go find our review of the film itself. We watched it once. I'll never watch it again. I was the most disappointed I've ever been in a DC animated film. And Alora's telling Daddy that she wants the hat. So guess what Alora might be getting for Christmas? There she goes. All right, everybody, that's me. We're going to check out now. We got lives to live and some games to play. I'm Superman Blue, Tyler. This is my co-host, Alora, Supergirl Red, with her dad, James. And I just want to thank everybody for joining. It was impromptu. And remember, look up into the sky and...
Don't forget, Sue smells like lightning in the sky. Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. Information $1 a month. You'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton.